Good evening. Welcome to the Sunday Night Spotlight. It is March 9th. We are heading into week 2 of our cycle of belief. And so wanted to let you guys know everything that was going on this week. First and foremost, expectation levels for parents. A lot of times in class, I'll catch a parent berating a little, maybe that's a little harsh, scolding, talking negatively to their child about the effort or the result of what they just did. And I think it's important to remember that small steps in the right direction are still progress, and that a lot of times you, the parent, want the end result, but if you don't encourage them on the small steps along the way, you're not going to get that end result. An example would be black belt. If we don't encourage the kids at white, yellow, orange, and green belt that they're doing a good job and keep working harder, we're not going to have to worry about what happens at purple, brown, and red. They're never going to get there because they're going to want to quit before then. It's just not going to be any fun. So I see the same thing a lot of times, if we're doing an exercise, for example, and the kids are doing push-ups. And it's like, oh, wow, you didn't do that many. Or, oh, those really weren't push-ups. And so instead of scolding your child or telling them what they didn't do, congratulate them on what they did. And that's one of the key elements that we've been implementing in the karate school for the last 4 or 5 years and working with great success. Now, there is a little caveat to that. There are times where scolding can be appropriate. An example would be, I had a brown belt in class last week, and they made a bad choice about doing something, and so I called them out on it in class. And the fight or flight response kicked in, and unfortunately, the flight response kicked in this case, and the child just froze. He didn't respond. He didn't speak to me. He didn't say anything at all. And as a brown belt, I expect better than that. You've been here long enough that speak when spoken to is the number one rule. So I said, go sit down. Right? When you're ready to talk, then we'll talk, come back into class. So in that instance, somebody that's been in the program for 2 or even 3 years and is missing the number one rule in the school, there I would agree, right? And obviously I did because I did it, would be scolding could be appropriate. They should know better. What I'm referring to with expectations and levels right now is, if your child's a yellow belt or even an orange belt and their exercises aren't that great, or their roundhouse kick or their balance, doing the roundhouse kick isn't that great, that's okay. We've got plenty of time. Don't expect them to act like a black belt just yet, right? Expect a yellow belt to act like a green belt. Expect a green belt to act like a brown belt. A couple belts ahead is always a good challenge, but don't leap too far. Now, naturally, this isn't a karate thing. I worry that if you're doing this in karate class, you're probably doing it everywhere. And so take a good look at the relationship that you're developing with your child. If you're constantly harping and pointing out the negatives, right? Guess what's going to happen? Your child's not going to really want to do very much, and that's when they're going to become introverted, shy, or just give up too easy, and we don't want that. So find a good balance. Congratulate them on what they did well. Find those inappropriate times, or not the inappropriate times, but the times that they were inappropriate or didn't do what they should have done, and correct those. Finally, on this note, a good guideline I like to follow for beginners, I would use a 3-to-1 ratio. Right? If I discipline or scold or correct a child for something they did wrong, I now need to do 3 positives in order to balance it out. At the advanced stages, you could drop down to 2-to-1. But that would be the bare minimum. Even at the beginner stages, you could go 4-to-1 to make sure that they're over feeling on the positive and don't focus just on that negative statement. All right, enough about that. As I said at the top of the video, week number 2. So week number 2 is black stripe number 1. So this week I am looking for students in class that have practiced the form, practiced their roundhouse kicks, and are able to demonstrate the basics of the form. So anybody that comes to class and says, I don't know what we're doing, right, is not going to be able to earn a stripe this week or is going to have a tougher time. They may be able to get it by Friday or Saturday. So make sure you're coming to class prepared, doing your best. So practice what did we do last week? The first 4 moves in Universal 2 and the basics of roundhouse kick for beginners and jump roundhouse for intermediates and advanced. With that in mind, number 3, roundhouse kick is the kick this cycle for all belt ranks. So we are going to be doing board breaking as early possibly this week, but definitely starting by next week. So you are going to need your safety boots. So all new students, make sure you get your safety boots. They are available on the Amazon store. They do show up rather quickly. The number one question we're getting is what size to order. Because the items are still new to me, I don't know off the top of my head just yet. So there is a sizing chart that you can look at on the item in the Amazon store, and it shows you how to measure your child's foot and get the correct size. As always, if the size is completely off when you order it, bring it in, I'll take it, and then order and pay for and get you the right size. So you're never going to be stuck with an item. I'll take it, put it in our inventory, and replace it at no charge until I get a good grasp on what size is for what person and be able to develop from there. All right, number 4, stretching at home. I found an advanced stretching program by a Taekwondo grandmaster that looks really good. So I put that in the parent portal, and that is under the warm-up drills now. So you want to make sure that when you're not doing karate, if you're bored and you don't have something to do, now's a good time to do a good stretch. I believe it's about a 20-25 minute class that he runs you through on how to really develop those high, powerful kicks and get started now. So take a look at that. Make sure you have access to it. Again, as always, if you can't find it, reach out, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you out with that. Number 5, we are at the championship in Rhode Island. You're going to hear us talking about that more and more. That is scheduled for May 10th. Students are eligible to compete at the championship. We do have a demo team that is going to be performing at the Night of Champions. We even have a student testing for her apprentice black belt. So we've got something going on all day at the event. So if you are interested in competing and or just going, let me know. We can get you information about that. Next, leadership training members in the tricking course. Tricking course now has 8 levels of cartwheels and inverts and flips and jumps. All the things that you can be practicing and doing and learning. Just this past weekend, I added 2 more to the advanced section. There now is a 540 kick. So a 540 is a full circle and another half in the air. It's a really, really awesome kick. You'll see in a lot of karate movies or action stunt movies. And then also the second video is I put the opposite, which is the 540 hook. So both of those are now available in the advanced sections along with all the other kicks, jumps, twirls, spins, and that is for leadership training. You should have access to the tricking course and take a look in there. Again, as always, you want to make sure you do have access to each of these items so that when you want it, you know right where it's at. And then finally tonight, again, I sent out a text and email last week. I have relaunched the Ambassador Program. So Mastery Ambassador Program is the MBA. And so what we do with that now is for every referral you bring to the school, when they enroll, you get 100% of their first month's tuition. That is on average $125. So what we run into now is instead of on the old system, you could earn points, and then if you had enough points, you were put in a raffle, and then you may or may not win. This is 1-to-1. Every referral you bring in, who enrolls, you get $125. So where this is also helpful is you can use this on social media, which is the most common place, but we have a lot of people who say, well, I don't use Facebook or I don't have any friends here. That's okay. There are 3 levels or 3 tiers of referrals that you can do. So the first one is basically people that you know directly, right? You're talking to somebody and they say, hey, I'd like more information or I'm interested in getting my child started. You send them your link and you're off and running. Level 2 would be acquaintances. So what will happen, for example, is you're at a school event and someone in your child's class is saying, gosh, yeah, I really like how your child is behaving or what they do or how they act. I'd like to get, my child to do that. And you send them the referral link and they come in that way. So you don't have to have somebody straight that or you don't have to have Facebook. There are going to be those layers. Level 3 gets a little more sophisticated, and I can go into depth with that. I'm going to be shooting a video on how to use the system, and I'll probably go in more in depth at level 3 later on. But just realize, number 1, you do not have to have Facebook and or social media. You can send a link directly via text or email. And or two, you don't have to have immediate friends or family. You can expand that with anybody. Christy ran into somebody at the library and started a conversation, and they said they were interested, so she can send them a link. So same thing can happen. If you're out and about, or if you're at a school event, as I mentioned earlier, any of those things are good opportunities. And if they end up coming in, it's a win-win-win. I forgot to mention at the beginning, because of your offer from your link, they get 50% off their first month's tuition. You get the other 50% that they pay, and we end up getting a new student. So to me, that makes it a win-win-win, and that's the best way to make sure that everybody benefits. So if you'd like more information about that, you can send me a message or a text, and I can get you enrolled in that. We did have 4 or 5 people jump on that and get started, so love to have some opportunities. I know we've got people in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Kids play soccer. You could invite your team, all kinds of opportunities if you really think about it. So that is everything that is going on this week. I am going to go enjoy the rest of this sunny evening, maybe even go for a walk with Yuki. So have a great evening. If you're watching this on Monday or Tuesday, have a great day, and we will see you guys in class. Take care.